So, the New Yorker came out with a really interesting article going into a really debated topic about this cultural consumer called the Disney adult. It's
Yeah.
the way that they framed it are these Disney adults who have been Disney fans for most of their lives, but really take the Disney fanaticism to the next level. They're the type of ones who are really rack up a lot of serious debt going to Disneyland for getting a lot of Disney merchandise. Like some accounts that they mentioned, it was like a college freshman who burned like through 15,000 and ended up with $5 in account. A British woman who's paying like $300 to $400 a month on a Disney vacation club, and it's just really surprising, but also not really surprising profile because a lot of the article goes into how the Disney ecosystem has been very much engineered into this. They're monetizing every part of the experience from skipping the line, which used to be free, now costs extra, airport shuttles, parking. You're having like Disney specific credit cards. What I think this article really brought into light is that how deep the Disney fandom goes, right? It's from as a young age getting you into the ecosystem and reminding you that Disney is a place where you can live out all of your fantasies, and we're basically like this happiest place on earth, even so that some people were reporting that this is a psychological therapy for me, right?
Yeah, no, so it's super interesting. Disney, I feel, is like the perfect marketing example of how every brand would love to be, right? Where it's
Yeah,
like you get them young with like the movies, the cartoons, you get them into the, Disney park system, you get them as they age with older movies like the Pixar, and then you get them into, the Marvel and the Star Wars, cinematic universes. And then you're bringing that back into the parks. And like, I think that was the biggest thing that stood out about this article was like how much of it was attached to feeling like wanting to feel young, wanting to feel safe, like thinking about me as a child and wanting to do this. I mean, one of the examples they talked about was a dad that was like, my parents took me 1 year and then I just kept wanting to go back, but they would take me to cheaper, vacations like, national parks. So now with my kid, I don't mind going into debt because I don't want him to miss out on this experience of being a kid, right? So it's like there's all these levels of feeling that it's not just I want my kid to get this, but I want me as a kid to also, get these feelings. And you mentioned that the psychological safety of feeling like uh you go back and like you just feel like a kid again. And there aren't that many brands that can actually touch people the way that Disney can. And I think like that's the hard part to try to recreate, right? But then I also think that that's the hard part for like the people that are in it, right? Like how do you stop feeling that psychological context for a
right.
brand when they actively give you and cater to you in this way, right? By creating the special limited edition like pins that bring people back, merch, like everything gets created. The fact that the park changes every so often to like bring in the new worlds, right? Like that, one of the recent things that they started talking about is they're reverting back from, the new sequels for Star Wars and making Disneyland be more about the original trilogy because they've realized that people don't care for the new Star Wars. They want to see Princess Leia and Han Solo and Luke Skywalker and like, new sequel like characters be damned, right? So they're hitting
Yeah.
back on that nostalgia. And right now when nostalgia is such a big thing, Disney is one of those companies that can tap into it actively and get people to spend like thousands of dollars on the merch and then just going to like the cruises and the parks and stuff. So I thought that that was like, a super like interesting dynamic. Where
Mhm.
it starts to get tricky is like, at what point is this not as poisonous as Polymarket and Kalshi? Going after like the vulnerable people that they know want to like gamble and spend money. Is this not
Right.
as bad spending? I mean, somebody said that they spent like $70,000 to go to like Disney World over like the course of her adulthood. Is the backlash going to turn against the company? Right now people are still blaming the Disney adults, right? And it's like, well, you're the one that's going there, you're spending. Like, it's not about you. Like, it should be for kids. Like, they shouldn't even be allowed to go, right? At what point is that going to flip towards, Disney, the company, for taking advantage? I mean, is it taking advantage? I mean, they are providing a service,
I think so
but you
because
get what
like
I mean, right?
everything, yeah, they are providing a service, but they're deliberately engineering everything. Slow, like the decisions they've been making as of late, especially with the parks where the Disney adults coming from, has been towards adult spending, right? It's even interesting that the discourse, like when we're speaking about Disney adults, it's people are saying like, well, I'm an adult who likes Disney, but Disney adults are like these hyper fixated everything has to be Disney. Like, imagine if like someone was obsessed with Hello Kitty and had Hello
Yeah.
Kitty everything. And I think that's what this kind of brought to light is that there's sometimes these portions of the fandoms that take it too far, but nobody does it better than Disney. And but and Disney kind of is leaning into this too much,
Mhm.
and people are starting to wonder, well, is this actually like, do you realize what you're kind of having a lasting effect? In my opinion, right? Like Disney is all about the generational work, right? Think about Lego, right? Lego has had kind of that kidult trend,
Mhm.
right? Like a lot of adults buying in, but they're doing their best. Their brand strategy has always been to cater to the kid inside you. They always want to pass that love on. What Disney is doing is its brand strategy is kind of the same. The magical moments that Disney provides all of you, except that it's really leaning hard into the adult and enabling this kind of
Mhm.
behavior to happen with no checks, right?
Mhm.
It's real like because this is the money spender. This is what's happening.
Mhm.
Could it be a leadership thing? Could it be cultural thing? If Disney was to introduce betting, oh my god, that we're talking about opening the floodgates. It's funny that you mentioning Polymarket and Kalshi. There was a quote by a president that really stood out to me. Everything is a casino now. That just kind of goes to show like what we've enabled into this culture. Like nostalgia is everything now, right? And that's what Disney consistently delivers on, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And goes to show that decision they're making to move away from the new sequels to nostalgia old
Yeah.
sequels. It's all so meticulously planned.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, it's definitely wild, and I think it's funny 'cause you talk about that, because the thing about the commercial that they did for the cruise was like, what I pointed out at the time was that Disney is one of the few brands that you can speak to the past, the present, and the future, and it all just interconnects with every generation, right?
Mhm.
Um, but I think we are starting to see, some things here and there, right? Like, especially here, we live in Southern California. Disneyland is right there. I've noticed that some of the ticket prices are starting to go down, right? The economy sucks and people don't have like money to spend, but I feel like Disney's still one of those few brands that people are willing to like, spend a little bit more. But at the point that it feels like they're taking too much advantage, I think they are going to feel a bit of a backlash. I mean, we're kind of seeing that with Star Wars, right now, like,
Mhm.
and Marvel, two of their huge properties that, like, they both have movies coming out this year. And I don't really see them on many people's, like, to be watched lists, right? Of like the movies they're excited to see, right? But I do think that like Disney kind of sits at a point where it's like they have to kind of decide, are they going to continue trying to cater to Disney adults that like are willing to spend that money, or try to become more like kid friendly, family friendly, right, of inviting kids to come back, and then start getting those new charges of kids to be loyal to Disney,
Right.
so it's interesting battle that they find themselves in.
Like I think one of the bigger lessons to know from all of this is be very clear about what you stand for and who you stand for and actually cater to them, right? Like if Disney is about happiness for all and bringing those magical moments together, actually facilitate that in the experiences and the product that you're putting out. It and like cater to these families, these younger audiences who actually want to get in the system,
Mhm.
not very skewed towards the adults who yes have the money and the power, but who are almost like gating the rest of the
Mhm.
audience for coming in. A lot of similar brands like Mattel, Lego, collector ones are facing the same problem, but they made it very clear in their messaging and the type of marketing they do that they're all about the kids in the future. And I don't think Disney has done that
Mm,
quite yet, which is starting to show in the media. It's starting to show in the park experiences and where it's showing up. It's also very interesting to kind of keep in track that the how Disney has engineered this. They've created a very good ecosystem that has brought Disney to life, right? There's always something to do, collect, unlock, earn, right? Also just the power of emotion that
yeah,
comes into all of this, right? It if all of your marketing is elicits an emotion of safety, right? Like a fulfillment, there is ways that and lengths that people will go to spend on that purchase, right? It's not about the experience, but what the experience for them represents, right? And for them, they're going to come up with 1,000 different reasons why they should be, spending the time at Disney, right? For them,
mhm,
like that $200 ticket is a trip to their therapy park, right?
mhm.
Or, that collector pin is going to be like a down payment on a collector's item that they'll sell in the future, right? They'll find so many different ways to rationalize it because it emotionally is fulfilling something for them in the moment. So that's like also a way to think about it.
Yeah, those are all, like, super great points. I think, to add to that, I'd say, um Disney's at an inflection point, because people don't wanna feel as if they're being taken advantage of, and right now, their most hardened, like, fans are saying that they're okay spending, thousands of dollars and even going into debt, to do this because this experience is special enough and it is unique enough and it makes them feel, psychologically safe and, emotionally tied to the brand, but that also means that you have to be the steward of that. Like they're giving you their trust, their money, to do all these
Mhm.
things. So you can't, fuck it up and take advantage of them. Right. And that's, like, the thing where it's like, if your fans, your consumers are psychologically and, like, emotionally tied to you, the burn, like, could, like, be so much worse if it seems like you are taking advantage of them. The way that they have kind of been nickel and diming people, right? People don't wanna feel as if they're paying for every little thing, and it's no longer inclusive of the whole experience, and the
Right.
more that you start, removing aspects of that experience by charging more to try to extract as much money as you possibly can from them, the less that they're going to trust that you actually care about them. And that's kind of where I
Yeah.
see this kind of headed.
It's like microtransactions, right? Everyone's
Right.
starting to see like how every little piece is being
Hmm.
monetized and it's starting to get frustrating when the
Hmm.
bill racks up, right?
Right. Exactly.